This episode includes conversations about addiction, recovery, and loss. Some listeners may find these topics difficult, but they're part of an important conversation in our community. We encourage you to listen at your own discretion. Welcome to Connected for Good, a community conversation that celebrates Loudoun County's changemakers. I'm Matt Bender, Director of Community Engagement at the Community Foundation for Loudoun and Northern Fauquier counties. Connected for Good is made possible through a grant from the Claude Moore Charitable Foundation, and I'm here with Stephanie Narances, Director of Giving for Claude Moore.
Today we're speaking with Melissa Hinton, founder of Loudoun Serenity House, an organization providing recovery housing and support for individuals navigating substance abuse disorder, recovery, and treatment.
Through Loudoun Serenity House, she's helped build a community of support rooted in dignity, connection, and long-term recovery.
Melissa is a leader who didn't just identify a problem, she built an organization to help address it. We're looking forward to talking with Melissa about leadership, lived experience, and the gaps that still exist in Loudoun County's recovery system.
Melissa, welcome to Connected for Good.
Good morning. What a nice introduction. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, certainly. To start us off, could you share a bit about your own journey and what led you to establish Loudoun Serenity House?
Yeah. First of all, thanks for inviting me. Addiction and substance issues is just such an important topic today. I think it impacts just about everybody in some capacity. We know somebody that's struggling, and I basically came from an environment where there was alcoholism, as a child, and had a lot of family issues related to addiction growing up. And they talk about risk factors, with children. I think that I had a lot of the risk factors as far as just my genetic background, as far as my environmental background. Some people don't. I actually did. And so I think at an early age, I was in the right environment to start drinking young. And by the time I was in college, going through high school and college, definitely exhibited a lot of issues in terms of depression, in terms of just blackouts and loss of control over alcohol, some drug use, but mostly alcohol. And lucky enough, my father, who had addiction issues, got into recovery and noticed that I had issues as well, and was able to go to his work EAP program and get an intervention in place. And they got me into a treatment center when I was 17, and that's where my recovery journey started. It took me a couple years to kind of buy into the whole concept of not being able to drink and, feeling sorry for myself and all that sort of stuff. But through the course of having access to treatment and outpatient therapy, all those things together, within about 2.5 years, I was able to find lasting recovery. And now I'm a middle-aged woman and still sober, and my life has been very good as a result. So that's a little bit of my background. Long-term resident of Loudoun County, came over with the tech industry here, and Loudoun County is just wonderful. I've raised my kids here. And when I moved here, I still continue to work with women in recovery. And I noticed that Loudoun boomed so quick that we didn't have a lot of the services in place that I know are needed to help people, because addiction is definitely not a linear process. It took me a couple years of, in and out of some treatment services and programs and self-help to actually get to the point where I had stable recovery. So that's kind of how I started thinking about what services could we use in Loudoun County. And I was working with some women, and one woman in particular had died, watched her die in the hospital here at Loudoun County. And she just really, really struggled. And I felt bad, because I really said, what more can we do to help women in particular, because there were really no resources in Northern Virginia. And instead of complaining and pointing the finger, it's like, okay, what can I do? What can we as a recovery community do? And then of course my sister, my younger sister, started showing signs of alcoholism, drinking wine at night. And I was in denial about it. She was very high functioning, had a wonderful job and money and all those good things. But I soon started to realize that she was struggling, and uh, got her into the treatment programs and that sort of thing. When she came to live with me, I really realized that we needed recovery houses. We needed a recovery house for women. And just kind of looking around and trying to get some people that felt the same. We started meeting at Pete's Coffee in Ashburn every week and talking about what can we do to help people have support in that first year of recovery. And the quickest resource to stand up is recovery housing. So that's kind of where we are right now. We opened a woman's house. Well, that's not where we are. Actually, it really took off. we
Well,
we we took the idea to the community foundation, Amy Owen, and we said, "Hey," Amy agreed. She just shook her head and said, "Let's do it. What can we do to help you?" And Art Thompson, who's the executive director, and myself worked with Amy and the community foundation. They coached us in nonprofit and said there's a systematic method to standing up a nonprofit, and really had some good suggestions. So we got the ball rolling and applied for some seed money grants, put together a board with some consultants, and we were able to start Loudoun Serenity House. That was in 2018.
I think you started in 2020 was when you opened your house, correct?
Yes, that's
And
correct. It was 2020 during COVID.
and now not only are you running 3 houses, you're running a community recovery center, which I'm going to have you talk a little bit about in a minute. And but I think importantly in our neighborhood, in our community, you really you tell your story, you tell it very eloquently, and I think thank you for that, because it's a difficult story, and I don't think a lot of people know that alcoholism is deadly.
It
And
absolutely is.
I mean, I didn't know that, and now I know it, unfortunately. I know your sister's story, but now I know so many stories, people close to me,
Yeah.
or, one or two separated. So that's, and this whole idea of a high functioning alcoholic and how that can be deadly, and you've really gone out there and you've told your story and been such an advocate, and I think have raised awareness. So talk about what, Loudoun Serenity House, you run the recovery homes and the community recovery center. So talk a little bit about that and those services offered, and why someone uses those services and what you could do.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, I think the whole process of just kind of uncovering what can we do to help people, and we did our homework. We went around to other states and regions and looked at what they did for recovery houses, and we also have come across a wonderful new concept and trend that has started years ago, which is a peer recovery model. And so what that means is people with lived experience are involved either in a volunteer or paid capacity. They're people with lived experience that are now leading a healthy life, substance free, that are able to help people that are new in recovery, almost like a recovery coach.
And that's
So
that's a certification someone gets,
it
correct?
is. It is. And many of our community partners, such as Chris Atwood, Loudoun County, George Mason, we all have been working very close together to build up that peer recovery base in our region, because many people are underinsured. Maybe they can't access some of the care that they need. And that first year is really difficult. A lot of people are faced with a lot of life challenges, of clearing up the wreckage of their past. It could
In the
be
first year of recovery.
that's right. That's right.
Okay.
And so very high reoccurrence of use rates. So having a peer that just helps you battle a lot of those stressors, I need a new job. I maybe need a less stressful job. Maybe I need a lawyer. Maybe I have to go to court. That person walks side by side with that person in recovery and
Mhm.
shares their experience, strength, and hope. So that's one thing. And just to say, as we opened that first house during COVID, the community received the idea so well because it really touches so many people. That people came out of the woodwork during COVID to paint, to fix up the house. The woman's house is absolutely beautiful. When people walk in, they feel at home. Yeah. And it's a structured program. So people ideally come out of a treatment center um, and come directly to us bed to bed. That's the best scenario, because if a person doesn't come bed to bed, often they might use again or change their mind about it. Because it's scary, let's face it, a lot of unknowns. They go home, get comfortable, and don't end up coming. And then sometimes we get a call, a couple weeks later
And haven't
saying,
heard you haven't heard you talk about your sister a few times. Like, she wanted to be in recovery, like she
she
tried.
did.
And
Yeah.
but in this area, there was no, to find that space, recovery space where she could live and get the support. It just wasn't available in our area.
It wasn't. And I think basically what happens is, the hospitals are very good at saving lives. And my sister, when she would stop alcohol, which is hard for people to believe, you can die. You can go into cardiac arrest or have a stroke and die. And my sister was a beautiful, young, vibrant, healthy woman. But when she would put down, if she had an episode of drinking, maybe over a weekend or something, and tried to get off of it, she could go into cardiac arrest. And it happened a couple times. So after a treatment program, she came to live with me here in Loudoun, came out from San Diego. And she had a relapse. She had 10 months of sobriety and was going through a divorce, which was very painful, very stressful. She drank for a few days, and I took her over to the hospital. And I told her, you have to give her a lot of medicine. She tends to go into cardiac arrest. And sure enough, she did. She went into cardiac arrest. They got her into the ICU. They were able to induce a coma, save her life. And then when she came out of it, we were unable to get her into a detox program because the beds were full. We have a medical detox program in Fairfax. Inova does a great job. Arlington has one. We were not able, so she went home. So that's kind of what I'm talking about. When people go home, they're very vulnerable. There's a whole protocol to detoxing somebody for, the first 7 to 10 days. When she relapsed, I came over to her apartment, and she had died. So unfortunately, that's something that happens quite often that we don't know about. That the death certificate may say cardiac arrest, but that was induced by withdrawal of the alcohol.
Now, like, coming out of detox, she wouldn't have gone to one of your recovery homes right away. Ideally, she would have gone to a detox center, but they're only in Fairfax and Arlington, had no beds available. So this
That's
was her only
correct.
choice at this point, was to go home or
Yes.
to be in somebody's home. Okay.
Yeah, and what we talk about, there's a term called continuum of care. So depending on where you are and what your particular situation is with alcohol and drugs, some people can maybe get into an outpatient program, and medically they're stable enough to start at that point in recovery. But for other people, there has to be a whole continuum of medically detoxing them with a medical detox protocol. And what I've seen is it can take 7 to 10 days to really stabilize a person, their blood pressure, their vital signs, really try to lift the brain fog, that sort of thing, and then get them into an inpatient or intensive outpatient program, and followed with sober living. That's the best case scenario. And if you look at the statistics that NIDA's come up with, for people that stay in a continuum of care for that first year, it increases their chances of long-term recovery, 5 years or more, if they do a whole full recovery house for that first year. There's an 85% chance that they'll achieve at least 5 years of long-term recovery. The stats aren't very good. It's very hard to get into recovery when you've been using alcohol or substances for years without a support system. Do people do it? Some people do, but most people really find it very, very difficult.
That's where a recovery house comes in to be part of that continuum of care. The RCO, or the Recovery Community Center, that
Yes.
Serenity House runs. And so you're part of that continuum of care that would help someone be successful in the recovery.
Correct. So since we opened the first woman's house in 2020, the response was so great that even though there were some men's recovery houses in the Northern Virginia region, still many people came to us and said, we still need a men's house. So we were able to open a men's house a year later. Then we started to notice that the folks in our house really had a lot of um, stressors in terms of trying to find a job, and in terms of trying to get SNAP benefits, in terms of trying to find clothes for an interview. So that's where this whole wraparound support service of peer recovery came into place. It organically happened because our volunteers started really investing a lot of time with the residents, and we saw the outcomes really turn out better when they had that support. So we looked at some other places. I have some relatives in Pennsylvania that have recovery community center. So we started researching that, and we found that that's exactly what we needed in our community, not only for our residents, for the general public. We have now, in conjunction with all the nonprofits that have helped us along the way, Claude Moore, Loudoun County, 100 Women Strong, O'Shaughnessy and Hearst. I mean, all these wonderful foundations in the community have said, yes, we get how important this is, and helped us kind of expand our services. So we were able to open, after the women and the men's house, we were able to open a recovery community center right across from the courthouse, which is great, in Leesburg. It's 29 North King Street. And we get referrals from people in the recovery community. They say, I have a friend, a family member that is wanting to talk about their alcohol and or drug use, and kind of see where they need to go with that. It's a very overwhelming thing when you realize, I'd like to do something, I don't know where to begin.
Mhm.
Or a family member says, I'm watching my son or daughter struggle, this merry-go-round. What can I do? Do I just watch this? Well, no, they come in and talk to us, and we give them a little coaching, and it's all free. And
That is
yeah,
that is wonderful. So on the continuum care, we do have a gap in the whole detox part in this area. But we have the recovery home, and we have the recovery community center. What's next? What else? What next do we need?
we did open another woman's house, and we still have a waiting list, especially now on the men's side. So you can see that the need just keeps growing and growing. So what's next? Um, I would love to see a detox program, in our county, where we all know timing's everything. When somebody conceives that they have a problem, right? Especially they get arrested, maybe they have an overdose or something like that. Timing's everything. Where we could get somebody into a medical detox in a timely manner to respond to that crisis. And while they're in there, they can have the support of people, peer recovery specialists, psychiatrists, and actually do a treatment plan and say, okay, the next step is this, and do kind of a warm handoff. When you drop the ball between those moments of opportunity where you can do something, that's where you lose people. So when we talk about being effective and really trying to see better outcomes, that's where it's at, is having that continuum of care.
That window of opportunity.
Melissa, I want to commend you for, first and foremost, your strength, you know, that is evident through your story itself, and also your willingness to not just identify gaps in our community, but to be proactive and to step into those gaps. That's just such an amazing thing. It's easy to sit back and say that socially we might have these problems, but to actively solve them, and to bring people together to solve them. That's what I think really lends a certain degree of fascination to your story on my end. I think that's just amazing. And so, it's inspiring. And I'm sure that when people hear this, maybe they'll be inspired. So for anyone who might hear this, who might be listening, uh, what are some meaningful ways for them to get involved?
Yeah, I think a lot of people want to be involved, and they do reach out and say, "How can I get involved?" And it can be in a small way, a big way. Um, Whether you're a person in recovery or you just have a heart for it, maybe somebody in your life is in recovery. So at the Recovery Community Center, it is we have a big network of volunteers. You can drop in, you can walk in at 29 North King Street, come in and have a cup of coffee, say hello to the staff. We also have an events calendar. If you follow us, we're on Facebook and Instagram, and we have fun events for people that are sober, drug free events. We have open mic once a month. We have all sorts of recovery bonfires, recovery just fun events, hikes, because a lot of people say, "What am I going to do if I don't drink or get high?" And it's like there's this big world out there. I mean, your life will be very full if you connect with people, and you'll feel good in the morning when you wake up. You know, um, I often think about that, even though it's been years and years. I wake up on a Saturday morning, and most Saturdays I feel pretty good, and it's nice. I always say, you remember what you did and you don't have to apologize to anybody. And there's a lot of fun things to do. So we have built that with the Recovery Community Center. We encourage you to come by, get involved. We totally need volunteers. We have volunteers that bring Monday night dinner to the three houses. They drop off because we do a mandatory house meeting on Monday nights. And sometimes they stay for the dinner, and they might be an expert in a certain topic, so we utilize volunteers for that. Help people with job placement, resumes, talk about how to start a healthy lifestyle with fitness and diet. So whatever your thing is and how you want to get involved. And so, as they say with nonprofits, what do you need? You need time, talent, treasure. So we need volunteers, and that's how we got started. We have paid staff now, but for the first couple of years we all dug in. We all spent time staying at the house. We spent time giving people rides, doing resumes with people. We do have some paid staff, but we rely heavily on volunteers for all sorts of things. um, so time and talent is key for any nonprofit. And then treasure, I mean, we are very grateful to get grants from our foundations, from Loudoun County and Claude Moore and 100 Women Strong. O'Shaughnessy, I could go on, but it's very challenging to run a nonprofit. So we have to build financial stability. So we do some fundraisers. We have a run for recovery at Morven Park once a year. We do a beautiful breakfast brunch celebration once a year at Belmont Country Club. And we also just ask for people to continue to support us. I don't care if it's $10 a month. I mean, we've got, our operations, and we want to be able to make sure this service is around for years to come. Where are we going and what do we need next? We always need recovery houses. I think affordable housing is one thing that we all know that we kind of need, especially with people that are rebuilding their lives and have a maybe a job that's not paying a whole lot right now. So different levels of housing. Again, detox and treatment programs. We do not have an inpatient treatment program in our county. There are a couple outpatient providers that provide a few nights a week or days that you can go in, and that's very, very helpful. But I still think there's some room for filling the gaps there with a clinical treatment program inpatient, like 30 days, as well as the detox. One great thing that we had this year happen is we have a recovery school for kids in the county that opened up, which is huge. So if we have a young person, like I was young in high school and struggled, and they choose that they want to go to a school where they're going to have that support, we now have that resource in Loudoun County, which is awesome. And we're partnered with the county on that in terms of providing support to the family and fun events for young people. So
Quite. So one thing we do like to touch on in this program is leadership, and we kind of got away from that because I feel like so much of what you're messing is just important to people who live here. But taking a nonprofit from beginning to where you've grown to, one of the themes I definitely see is like you were, you led by example. You were there, you were painting the house, you were bringing in the volunteers, you were building your board. What advice what was your biggest challenge in building a new nonprofit? What advice would you give to someone who has an idea and wants to start a nonprofit?
great question. I've had people come to me. I continue to have people come to me, and what I tell them is, I mean, nonprofits are born out of that passion and that fire in your belly, with whatever it is that has touched your life. And I think we all want to leave this world feeling like we've contributed or made an impact. But I would go to the experts that know how to do nonprofits, and that's where the community foundation came in. In recovery, you have mentors, and in nonprofit, you have mentors. So you really need to do your homework. You really need to find out what exists in your community. You need to go find out who's doing that thing very well, and pick their brain, and integrate with the other services that are out there too. You really, for what I've noticed, is that you're stronger in numbers, and everybody brings something to the table. And you also want to be open, very open, because nonprofit is hard, and you don't have income coming in. You don't have something that you're bringing
You're
income
not
in.
selling or providing a
Yeah,
service that you can charge for.
that's
That you
right.
want to
That's
charge
right.
for. Yeah.
That's right. Our residents pay a fee to live at the house, but it's a nominal fee, and it's only covers a portion of the operating costs, maybe 30, I think 35%, because we provide utilities and staff and a lot of the staples in the house and a lot of the supplies, and it's very expensive in our area. So looking at the cost and the funding and how that's going to go, and I always say the pie, you have grants, you have donors, you have events, and just learning about that, because there's a whole educational component for people that are starting in a nonprofit, that they have to understand that particular aspect too. People say, oh, you just do a couple fundraisers a year,
Yeah. No,
and
you
that
have no
covers it.
idea.
And it's like, no.
I think it's almost easier to run a business than it is a nonprofit in a lot of respects. You certainly have a lot less legal obligations, and
Yep. That comes with
and I
this.
know the first thing that the community foundation would tell you, correct me if I'm wrong, Matt, is make sure nobody else is doing this. Don't duplicate something out there just because you want to do it, but rather join whoever is doing. But in your case, nobody was running a recovery house. Those services were not available. So you definitely came in to fill that void.
I think too, it touches so many lives. I mean, I can't, when I go in and talk somewhere, and we do offer that service as well for churches, businesses, health fairs, whatever we can do to get the message out to the public. A lot of people in the general population don't know we exist, but just to understand that this touches everybody, and get involved and be a part of it. I would say that the biggest thing for my own personal recovery and purpose has been getting involved. I mean, there's nothing like helping somebody, even if they stumble and they don't get it right away. I know that it just brings you so much joy, to see the change in people.
Do you have one story in particular that stands out in your mind through your journey of someone who, through the recovery house, started here and now they're
Wow,
here?
there's so many stories. We do a joint house meeting once in a while. So the other Monday night, we had all of our houses together, and we had a speaker come in and speak to the residents. So we had, our 20 residents, and all of our staff was there. But they went around to the room and introduced themselves and how long they've been sober. And every one of them said that they're so grateful that they have the house to live in, and that they have their life back, and that they're able to be a part of their kid's life. Or um but as far as the miracles, I mean, we have a woman, just to show too how there's an integration with nonprofits here. We have a woman that is really special to me, and she came to us through loss. She was coming out of a very dangerous situation, and had gotten some help and counseling, and then laws realized that she had a very critical alcohol issue, and she was homeless. So we basically worked with laws to get her into detox. She was in the shelter. We got her into detox, and then from there we got her into treatment. And then we coordinated, and she's been with us for quite some time. And she is just a superstar. She helps other women in the house. She's a great employee. She's in the medical field. She helps at all of our events. She volunteers at Mobile Hope. Um, a lot of our residents volunteer with our partner nonprofits because it just makes them feel good. And it's part of working together as a network and giving back what you've been given. And so she's somebody in our house right now. And we've got this sisterhood that exists, which is really pretty cool. And same with the guys. And it's just really nice. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for sharing.
Yeah, thank you. I'm very grateful for each one of you because you've been so involved in making this happen. And the organizations, Community Foundation and Claude Moore and 100 Women. And I think that, that's what it's all about, is us doing this together.
You're right.
And staying connected for good, right?
Staying
Yes.
connected for good. Yeah. Staying connected for good. So thank you. I mean, we are really grateful. And I hear that all the time from people. So I just want you guys to know too what a difference you're making in the community.
I think Matt has some really heavy questions for you.
Okay.
Yeah. It's been such a lighthearted conversation thus far. I thought we might want to dial it up a little bit. No, every episode we do a series of rapid fire questions. Same, everyone gets the same questions. So just real quick, go with your first instinct. What is your favorite Loudoun community event?
Wow. Loudoun community event. Hmm. Geez, there's so many. I mean, I love doing the chamber events. The chamber has a lot of great events celebrating all the superstars in our community, both on the business side and the nonprofit side. So I love being a part of those. And I think, wow, there's just so many fun events in Leesburg. Um, all the holidays. But I mean, being part of this nonprofit community, it's never boring. There's always something going on. So,
Mhm.
I just think we're very lucky. We do a lot of fun events. We do a run for recovery. We have all sorts of great other nonprofits that I like to support. But I would say I keep my eye on the calendar of what's going on. Surely with the Community Foundation, the Chamber, they're kind of the main hubs of what's happening in the community. And we do a recovery resource fair in September. So of course that's near and dear to my heart. It's at the Douglas Community Center in early September, and we have over 50 nonprofits there. We have music and food. It's all free, and the kids come and they get their face painted, and
Oh, wow.
yeah, and we also celebrate people that have come through recovery courts because the county's there, and they showcase the services that they're doing because the county really does a lot. I love that event, so keep
When
your
is the
eyes
recovery
open
fair?
for
When
that.
did you say that was? When is the next?
It's usually the second week of September. It's on our
Okay.
event calendar, and it'll also be on the Loudoun County event calendar. And like I said, there's at least 50 nonprofits that are there that we work with every day.
Mhm.
And the music and the food and the kids have a blast, and it's from about 12 to 5 on a Saturday at the Douglas Community Center. So that's one of my favorites
Oh,
too.
I'll
So
have to check that one out.
Awesome.
yeah.
Well, I think you've already mentioned one, but the second rapid fire question is, what is your favorite place in Loudoun to get a cup of coffee?
Oh, wow. You're really putting the pressure on there because I am a coffee addict. That's my one vice.
Yeah.
Well, I won't say that's my only vice, but that's one of my vices. So
Yes.
we started Loudoun Serenity House at Pete's Coffee over in Ashburn. So I always like to meet with people there. And, I love all of our coffee shops. Goose Cup is another one that I love in downtown Leesburg. But Pete's has a place in my heart because they always were very helpful when we were starting out. They provided some coffee. They let us host our 5K packet pickup there for the first couple years. And we had a group of people that met there every week and talked about how we can start standing up some recovery houses. So
Excellent. All right.
Awesome. Awesome. And lastly, what is the one must-see place in Loudoun if one is visiting from out of town?
Morven Park. Morven Park.
We just had Stacy on last week or last
Yeah.
episode. Yeah, it's a great
Morven
place.
Park is just, it's heaven. We do our 5K run there in May. I think it's going to be May 2nd this year. It's on our calendar, Run for Recovery. But I go over there by myself a lot and run the trail, and you see this piece of history. It's like going back in time. And it's just this beautiful piece of land. And it's just a time where I can kind of meditate and just, feel good and get out there. So I love Morven Park, but we have a lot of nuggets of history around here. So it's a great place to visit. I always say it's a great place to visit. It's a great place to get sober and healthy. Oatlands and John Marshall. I mean, there's so many places to visit in Loudoun County, but I would have to say that Morven Park's one of my favorites.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, good one.
All right.
Well, I guess one final question is, where can people go to learn more about?
So we would love for you to follow us on Facebook or Instagram so that we can tell you when these events are coming up. We would love for you to pop into our Recovery Community Center. It is on the corner of Cornwall and King Street. It's a beautiful historic townhouse across from the courthouse. Couple parking garages. Just pop in any day and say hi. I'd like to meet the staff and see the center. We have all sorts of recovery support groups there. Self-help groups, meditation, health workshops, financial empowerment workshops. A lot of rebuilding your life is rebuilding your financial stability. So we have some ongoing workshops with that, learning how to budget. We have a program called Path to Purpose. So maybe a lot of times people with dry January will say, oh, I want to maybe stop drinking and just kind of focus on my health for a while. That's awesome. Come in and see us and we will work with you on a program, and it's all free. And we've got some people that are also peer recovery that are fitness gurus. So we do a lot of fun things. So yeah, just stop in and see us at 29 North King Street. You can follow us. We have an email that you can ask questions if you want to drop some meals off or donate supplies or maybe come in and do a workshop on something. You just email info@loudounserenity.org. You can call us. We have a phone that we'll pick up. It's 571-207-9000. And of course, we have an events calendar. So yes, we would love to hear from you.
Well, Melissa, can't thank you enough for your time.
Thank you. I wish you guys a happy 2026, and thanks for all that you do, and thanks for having us on today.
Absolutely, Melissa. Thank you so much.